And hello, race fans. You are tuning in to Final Fantasy Randomizer on Randomania 3. I am Space Drake, and I am joined in the booth by Darren Dries.
How is it going tonight, Space Drake? I'm excited to see this Group I matchup between Chanigan and Fiend of Pubsession. Both of them coming in at 1-0, and both looking pretty strong. I haven't seen a ton of their stuff in the past, but coming out of the gates, getting that first win is always a wonderful feeling in the spring tournament.
Mm-hmm. Well, no one has seen all that much of Fiend because Fiend is a duckling who has come in after the January Duckling Derby and is just participating in his first tournament just straight out as a duckling. And Chanigan, meanwhile, placed quite high in the Duck Derby. He got up to fifth place overall, which, given how large the Duckling Derby was really impressive. And we now see the parties all set up on our streamer side, and these players drafted a fighter, white mage, black mage comp.
Yeah, it was a pretty fun draft. It's always awesome to see ducks, especially when they're drafting a nun in there, because that makes it just a little bit more exciting from the beginning, because you don't have that fourth player for safety. You don't have just an extra person to be able to, go in and stand in the front line against Kraken 2 or anything like that. So it limits your options, but it gives you a little bit faster party growth across the board. So that's always kind of nice too.
And the logic behind the draft here is that the fighter has level 1 black magic in this seed, while the black mage has improved MP overall, which is actually going to make their early MP gain slightly slower, but then it's just going to get crazy. And we are into the race.
Yeah, so we will see just how good that first level black magic is.
Level 1 fade and level 1 exit.
Yeah, level 1 fade, level 1 exit, level 1 ice 3. So you've got sweepers and you've got a good spell to get you out of a dungeon. So that's a pretty good start right away. Pro Ring's right in Canaria there for 4,300. So that's going to be great. You've got some armor for those 2 mages already.
Yeah, and I'm sure both of our runners are now very happy that they drafted a white mage, because that's all 3 characters going to have a big sweeper. And it's also worth noting that, in a sense, this one is for a lot of the marbles, because both of our runners are 1-0, which means that whoever wins tonight is punching their ticket into brackets no matter what.
Yeah, yep, very likely. There's like the very edge case where if everything went perfect, you would have 2-1s fighting for spots, but I don't think that's going to happen. It's like if 1 or 2 things fell out of place from the very ideal scenario, then it would be, it's going to be 1 and 2s fighting for it, which is most likely. And they have Gouda in their party, who's been around for quite a while, and I can tell you from last year's spring tournament, Gouda is a very tough racer to beat.
Oh yeah. Meanwhile, picking up the Dragon -4 sword, you kind of hate to see that, but it's at least something to swing. But I imagine a mage is going to be a lot happier about that silver +2 once the fighter's done with it.
Yeah, that's really good armor, especially in the early game. That silver +2, I mean, if you get a gold -3, gold -4, silver +2 is right on the same level, if not a little bit better.
And both Chanigan and Fiend just pounding their way past Garland and getting a slab and an adamant for their trouble. So just turn-ins, no transportation right now.
So Space Drake...
Oh, and Fiend makes a mistake that you don't often think about. So when you get teleported back to Canaria Castle from the Temple of Fiends, exit will take you back to the last entrance you went into, which is still the Temple of Fiends.
Yeah, it's really useful if you have an airship already and you're going up there. but
Mhm.
it can be quite a pain in these flag sets. Chanigan going right to turn in that adamant finds 4,700 gold, which is
And
pretty
it also finds the Hooray Dwarf.
finds the Hooray Dwarf and a tail, which for this party the tail is going to be a wonderful thing. And that 4,700 gold gets you the crystal at the item shop in Canaria. So now on the way over to Provoca, you can turn in that crystal. You've got one fetch quest that's already started, if not done, depending on what Matoya gives you.
Oh, and this is starting to look a little bit spooky for Fiend. He did not want to take all these fights going back to Canaria. But he makes it, and we are safe. And now he has a whole bunch of money that he can probably spend. Chanigan also going back for the crystal, and probably some heal pots and pure potions.
It'll be interesting to see what Fiend of Pubsession does, if he's going to go and turn in the adamant right away. Some runners will do it right away, and some runners will say, you know what, I'm going to get something at Provoca, it might be the ship, and that'll make the adamant a whole lot faster, so we'll wait and do that afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But it worked out really well for Chanigan. Looks like Fiend of Pubsession's going to do the same thing, which is, we already know, is probably the right play for this seed, especially with that money. Gonna get the loot at Matoya, so not something that you really need right away, but it's nice to have it out of the way, because
gonna get some slap base going down here.
Yeah, it's always nice to get that item out of the way too. And Fiend of Pubsession is killing the Hooray.
No, Fiend, why? That dwarf had a family. We think.
Yeah,
it seemed to take a little bit to consider.
Just, thinking about it, walking around, gonna, had to think about what he did to that Hooray Dwarf for just a second there.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Chanigan is a man on a mission, and that mission is beating up some pirates.
Yeah, making some good time. He did get some ogres and creeps there, which got him a few levels, so he's like level 4 or 5 going into this.
Yeah, he just hit 5, and that's a pretty decent level for this party. You now have enough Ice 3 and Fade charges that you're not afraid of any particular encounter that you'll hit on the overworld in the Inner Sea. And that's, just working your way up to the point where you can just encounter manipulate your way past, like, anything you run into.
And picks up the TNT for his troubles, which that's the case, that scenario where if you had waited, you wouldn't have had the crystal, but you would have had both items to turn in right away.
Mm-hmm. Oh, pretty cheap gold bracelets for how good they are. So a gold bracelet has the equivalent of iron armor defense, but for practically no evasion penalty, and at +4, that's going to make it almost as good as a steel armor.
Yeah, that +4, I think, puts it just a little bit above a vanilla opal bracelet, which is the best armor a mage could wear, so...
Yeah, so
really
that's
nice to see
exciting.
that price.
Nuke at level 2. Oh, and temper. If anything, that's almost more loaded than you want to see, because you kind of don't want your nuke and temper charges on the same spell level in some cases. But like that fighter is now set. If I were running this, I would start to make really aggressive plays on some of the incentive dungeons, because you have enough firepower now to just manhandle things in either the volcano or ice cave. Like, unless they roll super duper nasty, you're good to go now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Fiend of Pubsession does. Looks like Chanigan is heading back to the dwarf cave to turn in his TNT, maybe even pick up some pro rings right away, because I'm sure that he'll have a decent amount of money, at least enough to get one of them by the time he gets there.
Yeah, and it looks like he's also discovered the nasty part of the encounter table. I imagine he's scouting out the encounter table and getting a feel for exactly what it is right now.
Yeah, it is nice to know that early. I think he did pick up a few cabins when he was in town.
He also picked up a huge stack of tents. He is clearly getting ready to do some serious encounter manipulation here.
Yeah, Chanigan's been doing a lot of practice coming into these, and looks like Fiend of Pubsession, following right in Chanigan's footsteps, going to be heading heading back to Canaria after getting the money.
Heading to Provoca. Okay, I'm I don't like that too much. And Chanigan finds the key right outside the Dwarven Armory. Finds a ribbon for his trouble. Okay. Wow. The only way that this seat could be nicer is if it already gave us the floater.
Yeah, I almost expect the next dungeon that Chanigan goes into to give him a floater. Maybe even just the sages will say, "Here, why don't you take this and go walk down to the desert and get your airship?"
Yeah, seriously. He is seriously all set to just, like, go wherever he wants to now. He's got a ribbon on that white mage, which is exactly what you want. I didn't actually see what level 2 white magic was, though.
I missed it as well. I don't think I saw life in there. I saw it very briefly when Fiend of Pubsession was just picking stuff up, but there was something that I think he bought. I don't remember exactly what it was. We'll see it in a little bit, I'm sure, at some point here.
Yeah.
Chanigan going to check the key-locked Canaria, which is an incentive item as well. This is just all of the incentives are right there, right next to the runners for the start of this race. It could be a really, really fast seed. We'll see.
This is really starting to look like the sort of seed that you do in, like, possibly under an hour, definitely under an hour and a half.
Yeah, I would, I mean, unless something really nasty comes up in the future, you could definitely be seeing a really quick seed tonight. Chanigan gets a chime from the Canaria lock, so the Mirage Tower is open. We don't have the full sky, but you could find your incentive item down in that Mirage Tower. Potentially,
but the real issue is going to be getting there because we still need to blow open a canal, and we also don't have the crown. So,
right?
Or do we? But we do have the keys, and Chanigan is going to check these chests and their trap tiles. And he's looking for an early grind to get himself into a position where he's a bit more comfortable. Yeah, Nightmares and Evilmen, I would with the firepower we have, I would absolutely take this. The Evilmen are kind of scary with the amount of armor we have, and also I would totally be using the Ice 3 there, but beyond that, that is still like 35. Yep, that takes him straight to level 10 in one go.
Get a few levels, some HP on those warriors. If you've got especially if you have gold 4s ready and rock golds right there, you got your grinds if you need them.
And they're squishy. Oh, I would just like park my butt here and just like grind to at least 18. Like
Yep, I was gonna say I think Chanigan's gonna throw out a 10.
No, Chanigan, why?
Oh, maybe going to Marsh, see what's down there, and then come back.
Yeah, like 12 is certainly high enough for Marsh, but I would still be tempted to just like take a couple more a couple more rock galls, and just get all the way to 15 or 16, and then just gun it through the next 3 or 4 dungeons.
And Fiend of Pubsession made the play down to Crescent Lake right after Provoca. I didn't see what the sages had.
Yeah, because we have route divergence, and there's a lot going on right now.
Yeah, I love seeing him go a different way. Maybe he picks up, if it was floater there, or if he finds a good grind out here, he may not end up checking that Northwest Castle for a while, and we'll see, if that's going to be a big deal, or else, sometimes you can keep up even though you're going completely different ways.
Fiend is making better use of that Ice 3 on the fighter, which it feels like Chanigan is actually struggling to remember that a little bit. But he does find an Ice Sword +1, which is a lot better thing for the fighter to swing if he's not in the mood to abuse Ice 3 too heavily.
Yeah, I think Chanigan may have forgotten what the blessing was, because we just saw him checking in the menu, and he could see it there on the status screen of what it was.
Oh, these bones have a spell list, and that spell list includes sleep.
And mute. That's why everybody loves the Ice Cave, or the
Mark. Oh, yeah. Meanwhile, looks like we got Harm 4 in level 6 White Magic, and Fire 3 and Quad X for Black Magic, and we won't be using those for a while. Fiend just going on by those. Also, Chanigan, I think, forgot to check the uppermost chest in. He's actually missing a couple of chests here because there's one to his left that he could also get. And Air's guarding the vanilla crown chest, and it has the ship.
The first chest in Marsh there, when you go in, it's actually linked to that 2-chest room. So if you get that first chest, then there's one that'll be empty in that room, and it's linked to the bottom right of this area as well. So that one chest is in 3 different locations. You only get it once, though.
Right.
It's one of the oddities of the Marsh Cave. A lot of people have theorized on why that could be. It's probably just a copy-paste error, but no one really knows exactly what happened. But he did get a black +3 shirt. Really nice. A lot of people will exit out right after getting that key item, and Chanigan went and checked the next room and got some free Ice 2 out of it.
Yeah, indeed. And meanwhile, Fiend is making plays after my own heart and going for this early ice cave. I do approve of a play like this, especially when you have so much power in your magic early, and you have like a couple of houses that you can fall back on, which doesn't look like Fiend has that, but he also knows how to encounter manipulate his way back to Crest Lake if like this will really go south. So I still think this is a very good and strong play.
Yeah, this is strong, and it'll be a great play because the only thing that we haven't seen for incentives is the finale.
Tier 4 and Wall, level 4 magic.
Level 3 had Life 2 as well, so White Mage has his full toolkit as well.
Mm-hmm. Brack and Fire 2, and Hold, technically, if you wanted to pick that up for carry shenanigans. Although this party is so strong that you can just, like, run over a carry with a bus at this point if you feel like it. Chanigan picking up some of those houses and is now really going to be ready to make some strong dives. And in particular, picks up is going to pick up a +2 chain shirt, which is a really good piece of armor for that fighter, as well as a silver shield +1.
Yeah, and I think the only black magic that you would want that we haven't seen is Lightning 3 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So, really good magic, really nice seed so far.
Chanigan checking the Elf Castle Armory. And while our runners hack through things a little bit here, I want to give a shout out to our restreamer, Lord of the Synth, and our tracker for the evening, Rob Draven. Without them, this race basically wouldn't be happening. So, chat, please make sure to show them some love as well as our runners.
Chanigan forgetting that he doesn't have the canal yet, so he's got to know at this point that he has to head right. Well, he hasn't checked Crescent Lake, but we know that's the Ruby, and he's got to head to the Ice Cave and make it through there, where you see those sleep and mute bones once again.
Yep, and Fiend is actually going to try and clear them out, and succeeds, because a nuke will handle that quite well, like even if it low rolls. Yep, it looks like ice is actually going to be completely required. Like, logically, the... Oh, and Fiend goes down the wrong hole and has to and has to take this the hard way. Because you can use Warp to skip past the trap tile there and check the chest that is usually guarded by the eye, but you have to go down the correct hole in order to do it, which doesn't seem like Fiend actually did.
No, yeah, Fiend went down a little bit too far to the right. You have to go right in the middle of this chest, and then you can get all 3. But...
Fiend just has to reset out at this point because those frost dragons have decided they want to be fire dragons instead, and also just like hit people really hard.
Yeah, he does at least have knowledge of some of the fights, and he knows that he doesn't need to check that trap tile because that was the bones and that creep. And so far, all of the trap tiles that he's seen in Ice Cave are not worth anything. They're all really early game enemies.
Yeah, the only the really tasty trap tiles are there in the Northwest Castle. And so Chanigan going in here with a pretty significant advantage, I would say, in terms of knowledge and power and preparation.
Yeah, the levels that he's gotten and just the extra items, especially that ribbon that he got with the key. Having gone over to Dwarf Cave after Provoco was definitely a good choice by Chanigan tonight, and I think that's going to pay off in spades in terms of the time that it's saved by just having that ribbon and being able to make it through the other side of the world so far.
Yeah, and Fiend learning firsthand that Frost Dragons have a pretty good major tendency to roll high on both their MDef and especially their evasion, which means that they can turn out to be really nasty things to fight, even if you want to grind on them.
Yeah, dragons are really just mean in this game more often than not.
You know what? Chanigan is going for the both of our runners are now going for the quote-unquote correct hole.
Yeah, it's good to see that Fiend of Pubsession went that way. Finds the canal, which he could have actually opened up the last time with having checked that spike tile, and I don't know if he checked the box or not.
I don't believe he did, no. And Chanigan is about to find that, and it looks like Fiend is going to go deeper in just to check the rest of these chests for loot and whatnot, figuring might as well do this while I'm here. And Chanigan's like, nope, I'm good. Let's hit the gas. And now I want to see if Chanigan is going to make a Space Drake play, because there is something I would do here absolutely 100% with the setup that he has, but I'm curious to see if he does it. Yeah, he does. It's time to beat up a snake woman.
Yeah, I think with the levels and the magic that you have, you may as well go in there. You can check these early chests, you can warp back out, or he might you could run down. You can probably take carry at this point, especially with an ice one sword. You've got firepower.
Yeah, well, with the ice 3, with the armor that fighter has, that fighter and a second ribbon. We find ribbon number 2 here and slap it on the fighter. Yeah, we're absolutely just going to go for carry at this point, I hope.
20 minutes in, you've got 2 ribbons, you've got all the spells that
you've got a Thor hammer.
You've got a Thor hammer and a black shirt.
I think that Thor hammer might have rolled plus, and that's something you almost want to consider putting on a fighter if it rolls plus, because one of the things that most folks don't know, the Thor hammer is tied with the katana and Vorpal for having the highest critical rate in the game. It doesn't have nearly as high a hit percentage, so it won't generate as many hits as a sword would in a fighter's hands. But if it rolls plus, that kind of takes care of that little problem, and it has even higher crit.
Yeah, they just have the... I mean, fighter was a great pick for this seed, because the weapons, the armor, everything's been pretty good so far.
Yeah. Chanigan just going for the greed chests, and the greed keeps paying off. Those are very, very protected mages at this point. Okay, and Fiend manages to get out of the ice cave and says, "No, I'm not feeling like carry right now," and is just going to break out of the LDC and is going to start showing us the rest of the world. So we once again have a pretty major route divergence here, but I am a big fan of how Chanigan is playing right now.
Yeah, Fiend hasn't been to Marsh Cave yet, though, so he still has to find his ship. He hasn't gotten that key, so he's going to have to find a few things before he can quite get out, and doesn't know what level 3 and 4 magic is, so...
Okay, and level 3 black magic is fast and lock 2, and also Quake and Zap, but Quake and Zap are almost, like, superfluous at this point, with how powerful these light warriors are. Otherwise, you don't even need to rely on random chance death to kill anything.
Yeah, if you're getting down to just that black mage, you just throw nukes. It doesn't even pay to do the instant kill spells because nuke is
Yeah.
always going to do damage.
Mhm. And Chanigan is teeing up against Carrie. Not even bothering to do any kind of defense. We are just going straight in on it. Carrie, feeling like going quick. That's going to hit really hard if she decides to get turn order, but decides to use hold instead. And LOL, we have ribbons, which means Carrie is dust. And at 23 minutes in, after we get past some cheeky bulls, we are going to be lighting our first orb. You kind of love to see it.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really, really fast. And so Chanigan's making the right plays all around.
That is the kind of play I like to see. I would absolutely say that Chanigan is running away with this at this point.
Yeah, and really, Fiend of Pubsession hasn't been doing too bad, just went a different way. Got a little bit hung up with that exit in the very beginning, and that maybe a minute or two, but hasn't been that much. It just kind of snowballed because everything has gone Chanigan's way.
Yeah. And Fiend is now, like, executing the Hooray Dwarf multiple times. Oh, and Fiend is not checking the Dwarf Armory. Oh, no. Oh. Like, it's sort of accepted wisdom that you don't want to open, like, too many chests if they're not in an incentive location. But when Key is right there, there's no reason not to check the Dwarf Armory, especially if you're using a fighter comp, because there's just so many chests there.
Yeah, especially with that exit spell. I mean, you can go check those chests and be out before you would walk out normally.
And also, we were talking about Lit 3 a bit earlier. Level 5 Black has Lit 3, and it is Black Mage learnable. So that's pretty much the full, like, golf bag there for Chanigan's Black Mage. Okay, and we are turning in the Ruby and gonna see what Sarda has for us. Meanwhile, Fiend is emptying out the Corneria Armory. Another Ice +1, whole bunch of cash, and a heal potion.
I like
Chanigan is not too happy about that and knows he does not need money at this point.
Yeah, feeling pretty good, so he's just gonna get out. Looks like Fiend of Pubsession's gonna check the Keylocked Temple of Fiends chest. This is a good play, might find a decent grind here. Nope, he's got Red Bones.
Red Bones would have been okay a bit earlier, but...
Yeah, but we know that the rock pools are there, and I'm sure that Fiend will find them eventually, but that's definitely not going to do what you want it to do. Chanigan finds the herb at Sarda, so he's probably going to head over to Elfland. I'm interested to see if he's going to use the outside dock, because there isn't a whole lot of inner sea turn-ins left, so you might as well go down to the bottom, because you're probably going to be heading towards Ordeals or the waterfall next, would be my guess.
Yeah, no, after Elfland, Ordeals is 100% the play. You route this in, you use the outer dock, you hope that it's... in fact, you absolutely don't go back into the LDC, because we have all of the LDC items at this point, aside from the crown. And we can access the crown from the outer sea. Or we can access the Northwest Castle from the outer sea. So you have no reason to go back into the inner sea unless it is to go to Topher in a floaterless scenario.
Yeah, and we don't have to worry about that floaterless scenario anymore, because the prince has been hanging onto our floater. So Chanigan's just going to take a nice little drive over and get himself an airship.
Yep, and boy, I cannot help but feel like Chanigan is, like, just running away with this. He can go... The funny thing is, though, I actually might have done Ordeals first, because it actually is a little bit faster to access Ordeals by sea than by air. And I also feel like, if anything, Chanigan is now suffering a problem a number of ducklings, and even including myself, has, where you get the airship and then it's like, well, where do I go now? Like, the whole map is open to me now. Like, what do I do? And the answer is turn in a tail.
I think a lot of people, when you've got one orb and you're 25 minutes in and you've got all of your inner sea turn-ins turned in and you all of a sudden are flying, you have so many options and you know that you're on a possible sub-hour seed that all of a sudden you get a little bit nervous.
Yeah, and you suffer like choice paralysis. And okay, we're going to be upgrading to an opal, to some opal armor. The opal -3 on the shield is a bit tragic, but it's still better.
Yeah, and it's worth it for the lightning protection too.
Yes. And of course, since he's in the area, Chanigan is going to check the rest of these these cardia chests, and is going to execute these annoying dragons along the way. Probably hoping to find some dragon armor or some really, really blessed fire or ice armor.
Yeah, that would be an awesome find for Chanigan. It would be about the only thing that he hasn't found so far in this seed is either a Massmune or rolling up Vorpal.
Well, an end-game weapon in general, because the Ice +1 is good for most of the game, but that's not quite strong enough for what you really want to take into Topher. With a fighter, you're looking for a Vorpal or an X-Cal or a Masa, or even like a high-rolled defense sword. You can absolutely make that work too. But you're just looking for something in that tier above the ice sword that has rolled well.
Yeah, and Chanigan doing Ordeals. I think it's a solid play. If you haven't found the Oxdale yet, I would definitely be going to Ordeals or Waterfall in that area, because if you find it here, then you're set and you can get 2 incentives right away.
Yep. And also, you already have Warp, so you can handle this a lot easier. And Fiend is checking Marsh, kind of forgetting where a couple of the chests are. Looks like he's opening some of the empty rooms.
Yeah, and as we said in the beginning, Fiend is pretty new. A lot of people came in right after the Duck Derby, so just checking some of those rooms, making sure that he doesn't miss anything. Gonna check the key locks too, so he's gonna see what some grind tiles are.
Yeah. The incentive item in this flag set cannot be in Marsh key locked, at least as I understand it.
Yeah, that's how I understand it as well. So he'll see what these chests are, but a lot of times people will skip right over them because I do not believe they can be in those key locked chests either.
No. And it's only a couple of grind tiles, and it's all in Marsh. So, like, why would you ever want to do that?
Thank you to Lord of Synth and Rob Draven for giving us some Agama facts, because Chanigan checked that top right room where the Mudgulls usually are and found 2 Agamas standing there. Now fighter time.
A fighter tile. This is if Chanigan wants to get a little bit more experience, this is another good place to do it. Because those fighters are almost certainly like, they have almost certainly not rolled any kind of real offense, and they don't hit very hard, and they are worth a good jillion EXP at this point. Yep.
Yeah, I like that. Just go right up to the chest, go back down to the bottom, and take this fighter tile at least twice. You know that you can get really good XP, and it's not going to slow you down either.
Mm-hmm. Does not meaningfully slow you down. It gets you a ton of money and a ton of EXP. I wonder, is he gonna... Chanigan is just going to straight up grind fighters for a little bit. I like this play, although it is worth remembering that if you enter the door and then take this grind tile, there is a 0% chance that you are actually going to get a random encounter in the middle of this.
I don't think he will because he's on the bottom row of that room as well, and
That's true.
rows are safe. So I'm pretty sure that you can't get it. There's a few where you can, but I don't think that this one is one of the very few locations.
Yeah. And he finds the crown, so we are going to be able to do our last inner sea turn in, see what Astos has for us. Oh, the ice armor rolled down. You hate to see that in a seed like this. He's still going to go for it, but it's kind of like, meh.
Yeah, it's still with the elemental resistance, although I think he has that ribbon on his fighter, but ice armor -2 is still a good play. That crown is going to be nice. He can go fight Astos, and it'll put him right in position where he can take those rock goals if he wants to get endgame levels right away.
Mm-hmm. And we are still looking for 3 items for go mode, so we know that the white shirt and power bonk are out there, but also the rod, oxy ale, and cube are lurking around here somewhere, so odds are good that Astos has some progression for us.
Yeah, it's pretty likely. Otherwise, he's got Waterfall, and there's a chance that the Sky item could be in Mirage.
Meanwhile, in another one of the trap tiles, Fiend finds a big pack of airs out of Temple of Fiends Revisited and wipes to it. And meanwhile, Chanigan coming up with a cube, and everything's coming up rock galls from the look of it.
Yeah, that's one of the things in the randomizer. You can see something, and your opponent may not see anything like it. You know, Chanigan just walked right through Marsh Cave, didn't have any problems. Fiend of Pubsessions spent a little bit more time in there and found some extra trap tiles that just seemed to be beating him up.
Yeah, and at this point, with the number of incentive items that Chanigan has, I expect that he is going to take his whole team probably close to 23 or 24 to those that level where with a decent weapon the fighter starts to turn into a real monster, and you've got enough MDef to handle anything up to and possibly even including Topher, depending on how cheeky you're feeling.
Yeah, if he wants to be really safe, you go to like 29. I think that should be about where the next breakpoint is for even just that ice +1 is 28,
Yeah.
29 to get the extra hit.
I definitely wouldn't go that high, just because you do know that you still have Sea Shrine and a Flying Fortress coming up, and both of those places have very EXP-rich encounters that you essentially have no real choice but to take.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you, because you will, and you'll have Waterfall where you're going to have some good enemies as well, so you can get a good walking grind.
Okay. And Fiend manages to get past the airs that are guarding the ship. However, the ship does not help him too terribly much. And is he gonna walk this out? Oh no, alright. Fiend is looking for some air revenge, since he hasn't found those rock galls yet, and is gonna take some levels here. Or will try to.
Airs are one of those enemies that if I don't have nuke, I'm running on sight, and even if I have nuke, I might be running on sight, because they can be pretty beefy and they can hit hard almost any time.
However, he is managing to kill them pretty easily, and he's getting 5,500 EXP for his trouble. So I would say that Fiend is getting back into this. Like, take that 1 or 2 more times, and you're good to, keep going for a while.
Yeah, those levels could help a lot, and he could,
And he's even getting a decent number of ambushes on this. Yeah, no, this is looking more and more like a pretty good play, actually. Meanwhile, having translated that slab, Chanigan is going to check Lefane for another key item, and is probably going to knock Tiamat out right after this, because we have the whole Flying Fortress ahead of us now.
Yeah, I like this play. Chanigan knows that he's just got to go pick up incentives, walk through dungeons. He can go through the Sky Castle right away, so he's gotten 2 incentives here, and he can take out Tiamat, so he's going to make some good progression in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, no, Chanigan has just found everything he needs to turn himself into a steamroller, and is actually going to pass on that power bonk. Okay.
he's got fast, he's got tempers, he can do it. I'm surprised.
It's true, but it's just like one of those things that it's like I'm not sure how many runners would actually take that, but all right, landing on the oasis after a little bit of a mishap, picking up everything else that we're going to need for most of the seed here, and gonna check waterfall ahead of doing fortress. That's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't see what his heals were at before he went and bought, but I think he was pretty good. I probably would have gone into the Sky Castle, but you know what? Waterfall is going to be a lot quicker to check the incentive, so maybe he just figures I can knock it out right away. If it's the Oxyel, then I'm set. I can go right into sea and take down Kraken.
Yeah, if it's the Oxyale, you can just knock a Kraken out and then like go into the fortress on the assumption that you're probably going to find the rod there. But if this turns out to be the white shirt, then it's still not the end of the world, or the bottle, or like the bottle into white shirt. That's still not the end of the world, because that's free in Invis 2, and that frees up your white mage casts for other things. Oh, and mummies have Scorch, and they have X-Fur, so they are getting rid of those ribbon resistances. That's not something you like seeing very much.
No, and Chanigan's using Ice 3 against them, which Ice is one of the things that any undead resists, so it's not going to do quite as much damage as you're hoping it will do.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Fiend losing the fighter there briefly, and deciding, I'm pretty good. And yep, it is the bottle. That is not what Chanigan actually wanted to see. But he's just going to roll with it, and we are going to probably continue doing some checks here.
If that bottle leads to Oxyale, then it'll be a great play, because he doesn't have to come back later to go back and forth another time. But could work out for the best. He might just decide to do Mirage Castle at this point. I think he probably will after checking the bottle, because now you know that you're going to get your Oxyale in one of these two places.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Fiend doing a last bit of shopping in Elfland to get himself in position to start really knocking out some content. And checking his spells, making sure that he's all set there. Just doing the quick reset out of there, and I would imagine we're going to see a march straight to... Looks like he's going to be doing... right, he's heading out of the LDC.
So we'll see which way Fiend decides to go. We know that Ordeals is the play that's going to lead. Oh no, Ordeals leads to Cube.
Yep. All right. And meanwhile, Bottle leads to Rod, which means that either the Flying Fortress has the Oxy Ale, or the Oxy Ale has to be...
No, it has to be... It can't be in sea, so it has to be in the Flying Fortress.
That's true. The Oxy Ale cannot lock itself, so the white shirt is in the Sea Shrine, and we are about to find our Go mode. And speaking of finding Go mode, a Sun Sword is definitely an upgrade to the to that Ice Sword +1. It's still not the best weapon to take into Chaos, but you can make it work, especially with +1.
Yeah, I think Chanigan's probably feeling pretty good. He's going to check some more boxes. It'll be interesting. Once he finds the incentive item here, it'll be interesting to see how many he actually checks.
To be honest, as soon as I would find the Oxyale here, I would at best check the most convenient of convenient greed boxes, if that. And then throughout the entirety of C, I would probably just hit the gas.
Yeah.
Like if I don't find an Excal or Masamune here, I'm just like, screw it. I can, with these spells and these levels, I can make a Sun Sword work. Let's go.
Yeah, and knowing that you've found everything, the only thing that'll be out there is the white shirt, and I think you got to be feeling pretty good without having a white shirt, so it doesn't even pay to check boxes, unless it's maybe the Sharknado, like the very bottom chest, because it's not even an encounter step out of the way.
finding the Coral Sword +4 and actually making room for it, but not equipping it, then the Coral Sword is not really what you're looking for here at this point.
The only spot it'll help is on the water, in the water temple. In case he runs into something nasty, he's gonna have that elemental damage.
And that's true. And you can also use it against Kraken, since it does count as an aquatic enemy.
Yep.
Getting some Cerberus here. This is a surprisingly EXP-rich encounter here. And yeah, like, with the number of incentives we have found, that's, 3k EXP. Blue Dragon's rolling pretty beefy. Still getting Chanigan a whole bunch of EXP as Fiend hits up Ordeals and makes it through the pillar maze without too much trouble at all, and is about to find that really tasty fighter tile.
Fiend really made pretty quick work of the Ordeals maze, doing a good job of making it through. That can sometimes, especially in the spring tournament, when you get a little nervous, that can be like one of the worst bosses in the whole game in my mind.
Oh yeah.
I like Chanigan checking this one chest room before any of the other ones, because it seems like it's always that one chest that has the incentive item.
Mm-hmm. And more to the point, Chanigan has warp available here, which is not always particularly true when you're doing Sky. So he is able to just check this, and it turns out to be the Oxyale. All right. Well, there we go. You just hit warp, and it's time to go. Yep.
Yeah, 44 minutes. Chanigan could definitely do this in sub-hour if nothing gives him a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, checking these 4 greed chests just in case you somehow luck into like a +5 Maza or your 3rd ribbon or something. I've certainly done that, but no, it's nothing. So let's just hit the gas.
Yeah, the way this one's been going, I was just holding my breath, expecting a +5 Masa in that chest.
Okay, and Fiend clears Ordeals and is not going to go back and do that turn in, and is instead going to check out Mirage Tower, it looks like, as Chanigan snarfs down some nachos.
This is a bold move from Fiend. I don't know if he's just looking for enemies to kill in the desert, but it looks like he might be going straight to the Mirage Tower to see if there's anything in the incentivized item is right in the bottom tower here.
In the position that Fiend is in, where he hasn't lit any orbs here at 45 minutes, and probably knows that he got stonewalled in the inner sea a little bit, I like this play. It's bold, it's banking on the idea that the incentive item in Sky, quote unquote, absolutely can roll into the Mirage Tower. And you can farm up some Tyros here. You can farm up a whole bunch of encounters inside the tower itself. And meanwhile, we have Chanigan over there beating up on Tiamat, and there's not too much to say here. Tia is not going to have a whole lot in the tank against this party.
Yeah, Tia did have damage poison. That's definitely not what you want to see first turn out of Tiamat, but coming back with Ink, so that's a nice, solid second turn for Chanigan.
Mm-hmm. And you just have so many fades and like the Sun Sword and like everything else that you're not worried about Tiamat at this point. And that is a second orb lit for Chanigan, and we are probably just going to head. Chanigan taking a moment to probably catch his breath, and we are going to go straight into C, I would imagine.
Going straight down. Might go to Earth next. We'll see.
Yeah.
There was armor in Provoca. I think that's where the gold rings were. Gold bracelets.
Yes, right. Gonna pick up some gold bracelets with all this cash that we got, and probably also get some spells on that night. because at night can fling some spells around now.
Yeah, yep, he can get the white magic spells, which I think that Life 2 might have been in the Knight's wheelhouse, and to have 2 ribbon Life 2 casters will make the end of this game just a little bit safer.
Mm-hmm. Ah, yeah, and he's doing some quick math to determine whether or not that gold bracelet is better than his ice armor, and the answer is yes. And yep, and Chanigan remembering, oh yeah, I can get Cure 3 on my my knight here.
Rob Draven pointing out that he wouldn't have changed the black shirt, and I agree with you that time resist can be a wonderful, wonderful thing, because black shirt is, I believe, the only thing that resists time magic, which is
aside from of course, yeah, aside from the ribbon, of course, and picking up.
Oh, it was slot 2. It was the one slot that the knight couldn't learn. Is that
right? Still picking up exit and fade.
Still wonderful spells. You can use those on to help get rid of some packs of enemies. And Life 2 is slot 2 as well.
Life 2 is in slot 2, so no Life 2 for the knight. That's always a little bit of a bummer.
Still, 2-3 minutes to invest in safety going through the game. He's gonna head right over to Earth Cave because he's right there. I like the plays. Chanigan definitely just found the correct route through this seed. He's gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
He's still got a chance at sub hour, but he's got to go pretty quick at this point if he's gonna make it.
But we are absolutely looking at like sub 110 at this pace.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And as long as he doesn't hit anything really nasty in Temple of Fiends, and with everything being runnable this year, it makes it a whole lot nicer going through Temple of Fiends for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Chanigan not even checking a single chest down here. We really are looking at it. Oh, well, I was gonna say we're looking at a man on a mission, but then he's like, well, there's that one chest there. I might as well have a peek.
Sometimes checking chests is just so much fun that it's hard to resist. But yeah, I think Chanigan at this point, you could just go, but I don't blame him either. I mean, those ones are so easy, they're not really out of the way, and you can just go and maybe you find that Moss Mutant, because it could be in any chest in the entire game.
Cockatrices decide, yeah, we'll actually turn people into stone again this seed. They don't usually roll with the ability to do that, but deciding to give Chanigan a little bit of a heads up there, as Fiend rolls into Astos.
Fiend rolls into Astos, Chanigan rolls right through the vampire, Fiend takes him out, takes out Astos pretty easily too. Nothing should be giving Fiend too much trouble at this point either. He's got decent levels, and Chanigan's gonna go check that upper room. He's looking for some more safety, looking for some sort of better sword, I would think.
I guess I'm okay with this, but... Well, it's also, I imagine, because he knows that he's got 2 orbs lit and is in go mode at, 51 or so minutes here, so he probably figures he has a little bit of time, but I'm still not totally happy with that play. You really don't need a, the Masa or the X-Cal when you have this many tempers. If a Chaos or Kraken or somebody decides to get incredibly punch happy with your major backline, then yeah, it can be kind of spooky. But ultimately, you still have to sort of be in temper we trust. You have so much spell power, and you focused your draft on giving yourself this spell power that you kind of just have to roll with it once the seed gives it to you.
Yeah, and I don't know what Chanigan's like safety factor is. I know that I would have taken the Ice +1 and I would have felt comfortable going into Temple of Fiends with that, but Chanigan's a little bit newer and I'm a little bit crazy sometimes to a detrimental level where I'll run into things and find out just how bad they are after I've gone in.
Ice +1 for Temple of Fiends would be a little spicy even for me, but the Sun Sword, I absolutely would take that like straight into Temple of Fiends and beat Chaos over the head with it. And Chanigan's getting ready to do the same as we have beaten up a Lich and I've lit the Earth Orb. And Chanigan continuing the march straight into Onrak. Now, I wonder if he's going to check these magic shops for... Nope! Just marching straight down.
Yeah, I like it. I'm interested to see if he'll check any chests along the way to see if he can find that white shirt, but I think you just got to go at this point.
Yeah, no, I get... at this point, coming up on an hour, and the other thing with this is that you get a little nervous when you're doing this well because you realize everything lined up perfectly for me. That means everything could have lined up perfectly for my opponent as well, and what if they executed slightly better than I did?
Yeah,
they could be ahead of me, despite the fact that I, by most metrics, am doing very well.
Yeah, that one little wipe along the way all of a sudden seems like it was a big deal, or that one little mistake menuing, and the mass mean +5.
And the greed pays off. Oh, you love to see it. Holy crap. Alright, well, just throw what I said about the Sun Sword and, like, not checking chests out of the window. Because that turned out to be incredibly worth.
Yeah, Chanigan just finding what he wants to find, right? Again, and mass mean +5 is not something you see very often, so good for you, Chanigan.
Yeah, no, like, you're ready to just dismantle this entire like, the fighter wielding Mazza 5, like, you have... That's almost equivalent, like, at level 24, 25 or so, that's almost, like, getting up to well past 32 BB level. In fact, I've actually got the freaking, I have the spreadsheet open. Let's see what a +5 Mazza actually does to a... Yeah. Like a 25, a 25 fighter is not hitting like a level 42 BB, but is pretty close there to a level like 32 black belt. Like not that far off.
Yeah, pretty amazing stuff for what Chanigan's found. Going right into Tiamat or Kraken.
Not even bothering with like, only bothering with the fast, not bothering with any defenses at all. Just, I'm here to make some sashimi. I've got the best sushi knife that anyone has ever seen. Let's go. Hitting level 28 for his trouble, killing that Kraken in two turns. As Fiend finds some green snake women, I think it's in the EXP from, and also finds the Oxy Ale and is not quite in go mode himself because he hasn't found that rod yet. But meanwhile, Chanigan is just ready to go mash up some fiends now. And at 56-33, Chanigan is into Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Yeah, and Fiend did the same thing as Chanigan, went right into Sky Castle, went down and checked that one chest, and said, hey, I've got an Oxyel, I don't need to check any of the rest of the chests on this sky floor.
Mm-hmm.
Chanigan's just running right through, and probably not going to take too many fights, because he doesn't need a whole lot of experience or anything on his way through either.
I might almost be tempted by those slimes because they aren't too dangerous at this point, and you can probably just like sweep them away. Oh, like chopping up a worm is also a good idea, but no, the frost dragons are annoying. There's no reason to bother with them. Oh my god, there's 4 of them. And on to Earth Floor. We already know that the Green Medusa special will not be happening with this particular seed. And nuking away some pretty squishy Saurias. That's also not a terrible idea, as Fiend finds some nachos to chow down on. And Fiend is actually making the play I sort of suggested earlier, where you're doing Sky second because of the general level of power you have. Losing the Black Mage, but you're still pretty well in control, as Chanigan, just doesn't even pay attention to the bone-shaped speed bump beneath his grinding wheels and rolls straight into carry. Oh! No fast for you, though. Carry's not having as much of it. Okay. Whoop takes another swing there. As we are on to the water floor. Life 2 making the Black Mage going down no trouble at all.
Fiend of Pubsession pulling up Tiamat 1. I like that he shifted his party around. He's going to put that white mage on top, because once you can get that wall out, you don't really need him too much.
Yeah. Also, this is reminding us that so far Fiend has only found a single ribbon. So because he missed that one that was in dwarves, and so that wall coming in slightly more clutch than it did for Chanigan, as Chanigan helps himself to a seafood party platter. We need to pump some tempers into that fighter. Oh, White Mage gets muted. You never feel too comfortable with that. Oh, and the Black Mage goes down again to some furious punching. Nope, you're muted. You can't do anything there, Fiend. And we are rolling into Kraken 2. Okay, this is where it starts to get a little bit scary, because Kraken absolutely can just take down that White Mage with one shot, even with these levels. But it doesn't have enough absorb to handle a +5 Maza. And Chanigan just keeps rolling on, crushing everything beneath this trick-out fighter's crushing wheels. Even with Tia 2, not really going for much in the way of defense, and just going for pure power all the way. Blizzard comes out, not much of a problem. Proving a little bit bulkier than poor Kraken did.
Yeah, this Tia's got some defense, but Chanigan's going to keep going. There you go. Nuke gets it done.
Yep. And one more level for the Black Mage, because why not? That gets them all to level 29. And when you have a level 29 fighter wielding a Maza +5, you're feeling pretty good. You genuinely are in high level BB territory here at this point.
Yeah, going right into chaos at 1 hour and 1 minute. You gotta be feeling pretty good if you're Chanigan right now.
Mm-hmm. Gets the fade off. We are in round 2. We're seeing lamp plays. 750 damage to chaos. I don't think he's going to be very long for this world. Lamp has been used. Victory is now certain. And at 1:02:16, and with an official racetime.gg time of that's going to be 1:02:18. Your winner for this match and punching his ticket into brackets is Chanigan. And in fact, I believe Chanigan has just joined us here in the booth. GG to you, Chanigan.
Hey, what's up? Thank you. Thank you, and GG to Fiend.
Yeah, Fiend making his way through the waterfall cave right now. So, Chanigan, you played that like almost perfectly. I am sort of curious as to what your thought process was when you hit the that Iron Gall pack there. Not the Iron Gall, but the Rock Gall pack there in the Northwest Castle. That was a really good grind spot, but you only took it like once or twice and then just hit the jets for Marsh. Did you think about sticking around there a bit longer to like really bulk up your level and then just jet through everything, or did you want to knock out some incentives first?
Nah, I was looking at my spell charges and they were getting low, and I didn't want to level up too much my fighter before promoting, just in case I need a fade, knight with 4 charges of fade.
Right.
So I didn't want to take any chances, and I knew I could do basically March and Ice Cave with my levels, so
well,
that's why I only took it 2-3 times.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Fiend has probably seen at this point, some minutes in the past, that that Chanigan has won and is now checking a few chests on the way down to Kraken in order to take him down.
Yeah,
runs into a ambushing lobster pack.
So Chanigan, could you have found anything more that would have helped you during that race? That just like you checked all the right chests, you went to all the right places. It was really impressive routing, and even just going to check Adamant before heading over to Boca and then heading right back over after TNT, it put you way out in front early.
Yeah, not gonna lie, my routing was amazing. That's one of the fastest run I've done with these flags, if not the fastest. I'm not gonna lie, I'm just really very, very impressed by myself.
You have every right to be. That was excellently played, and I also do have to ask. You were prepared to just like march into Topher with that Sun Sword +1, I'm guessing.
Yep.
So, what was your reaction when you, as Fiend is about to do, pulled that Masa 5 out of that random like greed chest there in Sea Shrine?
I just laughed. I'm like, all right, so I'm gonna. Just before finding Masa, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go grind again, just to be safe on the rock golems in the Northwest Castle. And when I found Masa, I just started laughing. I was like, oh my god, yep, never mind that. I'm just going straight through to Topher right after that.
Meanwhile, because of his routing, Fiend was thinking there might be a incentive item in specific that the rod might actually still be here in Sea Shrine, and he finds the white shirt that we knew had to be down here instead. And
pretty early white shirt. Yeah, but Fiend could have checked a ton more chests in Sea Shrine, but it was right there, just on the bottom of the floor right before Kraken. So it's a nice spot to find it, and just without having gotten his floater yet, and there's so many items out there that Fiend would be looking for, that just shows you that sometimes you can go one way and the other person can go the other way, and it can just change the whole course of the race. And not to take anything away from you, Chanigan, you definitely played that one really well and picked the right ways, but Fiend is not doing a bad job at all. He's been working through the seed, doing a really good job. Just chose to go to Crescent instead of Dwarf's Cave right after Provoca, and it made a big difference.
Yeah, the dwarf play was pretty much what the early dwarf play is absolutely what helped to decide this race, since that got you a bit of additional money when you arrived in Provoca yourself, and you only really had to visit Provoca twice, once to beat a BK and get all the spells and whatnot, and then when you decided to switch over to those amazing gold +4s.
Oh yeah, I needed to go to Dwarf first, just because of Crystal. Crystal was 1.4k, so I'm like, yeah, if I find any money, I'm good to go. Just route to Adamant and go right back to Cornelia to get the Crystal, and go Matoya. Maybe there's money in it, and pick it up and go to Biki, get my levels, and yeah.
Okay, and Fiend is healing up before challenging the big squid man. Go ahead and putting that fighter there at the bottom. Not quite sure how I feel about putting the white mage up front there, although you definitely want to make sure that you get your fast off. Kraken not actually managing to kill that white mage because it is like level 28, and it does have a lot of health. And there's the fighter just making sashimi.
The joys of Masa +5.
Indeedy.
I think it's the first seed that I've got a Masa +5.
The legendary Masa +5.
This is so powerful.
And Fiend. Fiend has forgotten that the white shirt is an incentive item. He's checking Upper Marsh for what he thinks just has to be. At least I'm guessing here that he's thinking there must be an incentive item up in like mermaids, but nope. The incentive item was that white shirt, and what you're looking for is not here.
Yeah, and Fiend's just checking a bunch of the empty rooms here. I think it's just, you know what, being newer to the game, and there's so many rooms, so many different places, and a lot of them are empty. So it's
I used to open up like the empty rooms all the time. Like even having like originally played the game when I was a like little kid, and thinking, oh yeah, I know all these maps. Oh nope, I'm opening entirely like too many superfluous rooms.
Yeah, I know last year I did the spring tournament, and I would always have the Sea Shrine map up because I could never remember which rooms had the chests. And like Fiend remembered that the white shirt is an incentive item and just gonna get out and keep going on here.
Yeah. And considering, like, I still have like 2 orbs to get. I still have to find the rod.
Yeah, and it does look like Fiend of Pubsession is going to forfeit here. Definitely a great race. I'm gonna pull him in, see how he felt about it. But I mean, it was, Fiend of Pubsession did a really good job tonight, and Fiend is gonna join us here. So yeah, good job tonight, Fiend of Pubsession. It just came down to little decisions in the beginning of that race that put you behind, and Chanigan just snowballed from there. But how did you feel about it overall?
Oh, well, first of all, the GG to Chanigan.
GG.
Thank you. What threw me off was that really big mistake in the beginning with the warp and the checking the trap tile, then having to reset out, and then just poor decision making after that, trying to play catch up. And as you guys saw, it didn't work out.
Yeah, no, I was wincing a little bit when I saw you like hit that exit and end up back in back at the Temple of Fiends, since exit will always put you back at the last overworld door that you entered. And if that was the warp from Princess Sarah, that will take you back to the Temple of Fiends.
I was aware Warp did that, and I knew of that. I just thought, well, I'm gonna try exit. Probably not a good idea to try it during a race, but I did it anyway.
Yeah, it that puts you a couple minutes behind, and then Chanigan decided to check TNT right away and just got the key, picked up a ribbon right there in the dwarf armory, which I think you were next to it, and you just exited right out to keep going. And I mean, things just went from there.
Yeah, there was a ribbon sitting basically right next to Jim when he gave you the key, and Chanigan had that at like the 10-minute mark or something, and it just all went from there.
No,
So-
that was a really nice race. I really like this seed. For once, Caleb rolled a good seed for what he told me in the race room before the race.
For once, Caleb didn't roll something that completely like tortured our poor ducks. And so, Chanigan, you have now punched your ticket into brackets. Are you feeling ready for that?
Oh yes, for sure. I've been preparing for this for like since I joined the community in last November, I think, and I'm ready for brackets, and I hope I'll be able to put up a good fight.
Yeah, and Fiend, you are now going to be going up against Gouda 632 in your final match of the Iron Gall group. How are you feeling about that?
I don't like check the races or the I never check the runners ahead of time to know who I'm running, so I always go in just try to race the best I can. I go in thinking I'm gonna lose anyway, so this is like the second race I've ever raced. So.
Yeah, no, you still did very well for just coming in here and giving it your absolute all, and you still made a lot of really good moves, and you were easily on track to put in a sub 130 time, which is still very impressive. So, best of luck in your match to come, and even with today's loss, you are still very much in the running for the play-in race, and those bracket dreams are far from dead.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. I'm looking forward to the next race. It's not scheduled yet, but we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, with that, I think we're gonna start wrapping up. And I guess at Chanigan, any final thoughts on how it went today and how your spring tournament's been going so far?
Yeah, thanks for having me here. It's been a really, really, really wonderful race. Thanks for Fiend of Pubsession for the race. That was just a good seed overall. And thank you guys for casting and everyone behind the scenes. Thank you guys.
Yeah. And are you thinking that you might manage to go 3-0 with Gouda being your final opponent there, Chen?
I got my chances. I'm not 100% certain I'll beat him, but I think I can I think I can beat him.
Okay.
Awesome. I like the confidence. It's really good. And definitely, after a race like today, you can go up against anybody. It's just a matter of playing like that and finding the right spots, and you can, anybody can beat anybody in a randomizer. It depends on the day, and as long as you know what you're doing, you can always go through pretty quick.
Yeah.
Fiend of Pubsession, it's your first tournament. Like you said, it's like your second race. Looked really good. You were making great time, especially for not having gotten a floater yet and going through that seed. But any final thoughts, and what are you anything that you got to say?
Well, the air encounter could have gone better. That cost me some time later on, but that was a good grind, and I imagine if you would have found it, I'll watch it back. I imagine Chanigan might have found that early and probably ground up and made that levels. But again, thank you guys, like he said, for commentating, for our tracker for tracking, and our host for hosting.
Yep, and shout outs once more to Lord of the Synth for restreaming and hosting us, and Rob Draven for being on the ball with the tracking all seed.
Yeah, so really good job, both of our runners. Thank you, Space Drake, for joining me. For a while this morning, I thought it was going to be just me in the booth, so it was really nice to have a second person to talk to and bounce some ideas off from, so I really appreciate that. And Rob, again, for tracking, and Lord of the Synth for doing the restreaming and all the buttons behind the scenes. And thank you to everybody for checking out the spring tournament. Lots more matches to come, and we're happy to be able to show off this game and be able to play some randomizer against each other.
And if you want to check out the Final Fantasy Randomizer for yourself, you can always go to FinalFantasyRandomizer.com to roll up a seed for yourself, and you'll find links to the community Discord on that site. And with that, I am Space Drake.
And I'm Darren Drees, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you all, and have a good night.